Okay, so it's 4 in the morning. I can't say that I'm not going to be interrupted because I probably will be. And so I was woke up when I didn't want to be woke up. I'm grumpy. And anyways, one thing I just saw, I was like, oh, see, everything is about this exposing stuff. Everything that's going on. So everything that is happening, the people involved, when they bring people onto the stage, it's to expose them. Somebody made a really good point yesterday that I saw, and it was all of a sudden like she had this like click, and she must have seen somebody talking about something, and there was no fact checking. And she was like, have you guys noticed there's no fact checkers? Like, the fact checkers has been removed. Now we can talk. But there still is censorship. So I don't know. There's still people, their videos going down. But that is also to show us, because then we talk about it so people realize, like, this is serious, you guys. We seriously can't just talk about things. We have to talk in code, and like, the government's watching over us and it'll only get worse. And they've showed us in the movies how much worse. Like, their plan is to have us all walking around in plain white clothes looking just alike. And these Korean cheerleaders, like, oh Lord, I love them, but geez, it's crazy. Like, this is what they want. And I mean, of course, those girls are going to look more anime. I think anime is based on what these girls look like. But it's like this doll feature of girls or something. And they're cute as hell. They're just cute as can be. And their cheers, if you have not seen the Korean cheerleaders, it is just everywhere. Just like all of a sudden how they brought the Dead Sea in. They brought in, like, they just bring in these waves of just stuff you had no idea. And here comes the Korean cheerleaders. And it was just like, what? And they're just so cute. And one team is the Tigers, another team is the Dragons. And they wear all these little cute outfits, but I don't know. It's like you have to kind of, like, I don't know, maybe to see certain things, you have to kind of know the darkness behind Japanese culture and the perversion kind of thing. Like, I swear to God, I think I learned some of it off of watching the Geisha movie. What was that called? Like The Last Geisha or something? Anyways, there's a whole thing. And there's a reason, this is a problem with the shipping containers and stuff. Like, there's these kids are being stolen from these places and sent over here. All these places. With the Philippines, Indonesia. Oh, fuck, a lot from Indonesia. All these places. When they go and get them, and man, fuck, God, so much sadness that they create. I'm so sad. But anyways, some of these videos, like on the laptop and stuff, because supposedly, like, some of this stuff gets so deep and there's so much, well, maybe, supposedly. So a lot of this stuff is conjecture, but it still gets there somehow. But how it gets there is a storyline. And I can share some of the storyline that I have seen or heard. And, but that doesn't mean it's completely accurate, because some of this stuff is being given to us very strategically and at certain times. And what I was going to talk about is one of those times right now of somebody being on the stage, and all of a sudden a lot of things are making sense about this all of a sudden. Like, fuck, dude, but it's like, so like, people have said, there's not, like, people start saying, oh, so the White Hats did this to show that what they're doing or whatever. And then people start going, no, they would never do this. But that doesn't mean that they can stop what's coming. That's one thing that Donald said a lot. They can't stop what's coming, but they can know what is going on. And then he tried to expose a lot of stuff ahead, but he couldn't really expose stuff. He could just drop breadcrumbs. He could drop hints. And those of us who pick up on those patterns and those like that solitary information and stick it in our pocket for later, then it finds its place as information keeps going. But a lot of people don't pay attention to that because it's not, there are certain people who were supposed to pay attention to it because it was like programmed into us. We were going to pay attention. It's not like, oh, they're better than me. Like, that's what people got to get off of. That's what we're breaking free from. We all come in with a destiny. We come in with a pre-designed life. It's a role that we come to play, and it has a significance to all the other roles, and all the roles have to be filled. And so it's not like, but our shine, our who we are shines through. Our shine is our aura. You know, what do you do with the part? It's just the same, like, think of it on the level of like movies and stuff. When you watch a movie and you see, you know, some people's acting is like subpar, and some people just become other characters, and they, you know, bring this character to life. They give it this whole thing, and that is like kind of the same on a micro, macro, but on a different kind of scale. You see, on a different kind of level. So, anyways, the people, whenever I say that, it just cracks me up. It's always like my safe spot to start back at. Well, the people. So, anyways, so the people. Okay, let me think back where I was. Okay, so, oh yeah, okay, so there's all of that complexity to it. But I think that it's like what they knew what's coming. They knew the attacks that were coming. So the information started leaking out, like leak out certain things. Like that was the whole point of the letter, was because it was such a leak of information. It's a real thing. Like everybody's gonna tell me that that's not a real thing. When I saw how the accuracy on stuff, like there was no way. Like I knew it was looking glass or some type of technology like that. Because then, as I've gone through this awakening part to more people talking about more things and stuff, is that learning more about this quantum computer, I fucking feel like I'm fucking jacked up. Like, it's crazy. Like, fuck, what the hell? I'm telling you, the energy is intense. And yesterday, it was like all of a sudden, everything was like slow. We're gonna go slow today. It's been a minute. It's like, fuck, man. The day before, it's like, whoa. Today, it feels like, woo, let's crank this bitch up. I feel like, oh, whoa. It's like, I can't go fast enough. It's like, come on, I got things to do. God damn, I felt, jeez. Okay, so I'm definitely squirmy more than normal because I feel like cranked up, like from my heart going out. It's really weird. So, okay. So I knew of Looking Glass, because this is like, for those of us who were into ufology for a long time, like that know who David Wilcock is, like there was a whole subculture of us that believed in aliens and stuff. And even if we didn't get all involved in the thing, because the people, you know, there start being like meetings and stuff and conferences and more people disclosing more and more information. And you know what? The one just keeps haunting me too. Like she doesn't go, like I get stuck on this one thing, like, and that usually shows me that there's something's off. I don't know what it is, but something's off because it doesn't make sense. I keep going to this part and getting hit. And just the way they brought me that movie and everything. But the girl who is so famous in it, I can't think of her name. But she's up there if you're in the ufology thing. And she wears glasses. She's got really curly hair. She was a journalist who started talking about the animal mutilation. And then she started doing all this disclosure, you know, what the sheriff is saying, what the government's saying, and what's really going on. And to the point she lost her job. And then she goes into, you know, wanting to know more and stuff, you know, like how David Wilcock, that's what got him all into it. It piqued his interest. And so he just started going all in. And then you start meeting more people and stuff like that. So she became very out there about disclosure. But the thing is, all the time when I see her, she's always talking about space. The way she talks about outer space and the way she laughs at people, like when I start seeing the flat earth stuff for me. So I don't know, 2018, I think, as probably 2017. Okay, 2017, the big thing that stands out, of course, was my trigger and this entanglement with this other soul. So that all of a sudden became like real, like, oh, this is the part we're at now. It was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that was coming. All these things, it's so weird. It's like, there's so many things in my life that I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming, but they're not going to show you every single thing. You're going to see what you're supposed to see. And the best thing is they just help you through the things you're going through. They're not going to tell you the things so you can stop yourself from having them happen. That's the thing. Is people want to know the future so that they don't have any problems. You're here to have problems. Sorry. You're here to go through problems. That's just the way it is. You're here to learn from problems. And it's almost like you're a problem for a soldier problem person. Or a soul soldier, problem soldier. Like, because that is what it's like our soul duty to go through this stuff. Like the reincarnation thing it's so much about an expansion in the learning of the universe. It like ripples out. And then plus just the way that the watchers and stuff, like there's so much learning from all the things that we go through, and it's on such a micro macro, because it's on, you can go down to the specifics, or you can go way out to how it affects the whole society, and then you can go even further out and further out globally, and then how it ripples out into the universe. Like there's just a lot about everything. Oh, that's so cool. Like the universe is learning about itself together, and all the universe learning about itself together is what creates this more evolving, where as souls we create more of an understanding. Like they can learn and see, and it's like it's like a reverberation of information that goes through the souls, and it's like such an expansion. But it's like the universe that was the first universe, to where the universe would be, is like, it's like a huge difference. It's like it's such an expansion. It's such a explosion. It's like, if you think about the universe being like this little ball of energy, and all the energy in the ball to be more fiery. See, this is what's important too, to find yourself. Be fiery, be you. Don't be small. And because the small sparks go out, you got to light yourself up. And so the beginning, all of this energy of all these beings, all this energy, and it was like it was like an evolution into experience. Just as it evolved into experience, we're going to go from experience and evolve into something even more fantastic. I think that is where it's going to be like we're gods or something. It's going to be like we have got so much abilities, but it's like just learning, nothing can hold us back. It seems like to be such a big part of it. So, yeah, kind of like we'll all be like little Sonics or something. We'll all be just like, but that is this energy of the universe evolving. So anyways, all of that stuff is going on. And although that they push religion, although I did send me Amy sent me this video this morning, and it was a girl, and I thought she was like religious or something, but she's saying that at the churches now that they're telling the people you missed the rapture. The rapture's over. Y'all missed it. Get your Bibles out and start praying. But don't worry. We're in the tribulation, but don't stress. Just pray every day. Pray constant, nonstop. So there's this whole, I don't know. I haven't talked to my mom. I don't know if they're saying this in all the places. So this girl was trying to explain to the religious people, the truth. And so I don't know. But yeah, that's why I said that there will be something like that will be their awakening, something that's going to fail them, something that they rely on that's going to fail them. It's going to drop. And then that's what you notice what's going on with all this stuff. Jobs are failing people. Medical's failing people. The government's fucking failing people hard. Like, all these things are failing people. And, it has to do with what their lessons and what their souls experience. Like, it's more complex. Why, this person's being failed by medical, and this person's being failed by government, and this person's being failed by a relationship, like all these different things, because it has to do with your soul's destiny, your role and stuff that you're playing. So anyways, so on this thing, when people come onto the stage, and I've said it's always about to expose people. And then sometimes, like with Kamala, like it's like, okay, so you're just exposing, that she's, I don't want to be judgmental or anything. I don't want to be like rude. But, you're trying to show she's a skankety skank or something. Like, what the fuck? Is some skankety slut or something? Like, what are you trying to show us? Because, that seems to be, but that seems to be such a common thing with all these weirdo people. They're so indulgent into some kind of self-gratification. It's definitely not about their partners. Some type of self-gratification. I don't know where people get themselves so into mental sickness in regards of sex. Like, what I would feel like, what a disappointment. Like, to me, kind of, and throughout my life, I've wanted to keep that kind of as a purity, you know what I mean? Something that you want to enjoy the whole time. You don't want to get it all warped out and weird. So, I don't know. Like, I don't know what goes on with these people. And they destroy something. And it is destroying something sacred. And it's something in there, like some of this stuff, it just seems like it's big. Like, how do you torture somebody? How do you sit and listen to a child scream and get off on that and think, oh, that's going to give you some good stuff? It's like, oh, damn, these fucking... I don't know, but there's also this whole other level of how they look at the world. Because they do look at it different spiritually than how we look at it. So to them, they could be like, well, you're born here, so you knew what you were getting into. So you're, just this cycle of life that is, it is more, because if they are creatures of the night, then they are more in the predator cycle of life. They live off of other things, and there's a lot of ones that do. Like, supposedly that's one of the things why they so many people go missing and stuff, is there's some kind of a contract or something with these reptilians or something that I've heard, or something. These ones that eat people, and they like people to be alive when they eat them. But they, but there's this one QHHT too that Allison Coe had done, where this person went to this life, and the life was like this, like in the universe, like a realm where a lot of trading and stuff. And she worked in that thing. She's the one who said that they've got people in cages, like we have birds and stuff. And, oh yeah, and also Laura Eisenhower, she, this was a few years ago. And I don't know, I haven't seen her, what she's been talking about lately. I saw something the other day, or a couple weeks ago, or months ago, or something. But this is a few years ago, and she was interviewing other people from the secret space program. And those guys also said that they had these people all these pallets of bodies and stuff. And then people, but it's some kind of a trade with these beings that eat people. And I think it's reptilians. But anyways, there's something about that. And I don't remember why I was talking about that. But anyways, there's more to the whole thing with the feeding us to the people and not being a part of, you know, well, it's weird. Give us the technology, but then they don't give us the technology. And see, that's what's gotten them in out of balance with the other stuff. Like there's a whole bunch of bigger stuff going on. Some of these people may not even know, but some of these people are fucking old as fuck. They've been around. They probably are the original family. So, there's just 12 bloodlines in the beginning. There's Kazan or whatever. But anyways, they've got that in the CIA file. And I shared that on the other video where I talked about it, but I have it still if somebody wants it. But they're sure these people are probably the same motherfuckers who've been around this whole time. They probably have switched bodies, though. I think that they know how to, you know, shapeshift and go out of bodies. I was even thinking yesterday, I wonder how many of these people are famous. Like, there's some weird shit about Beyonce, and if you don't thank her, if you win a Grammy or something, that you end up dead. And Amy Winehouse didn't, and then she ended up dead a few months later. There's some weird stuff. Look, you look into that thing, because people look into all sorts of things and start sharing them. It's like, look, I didn't know about that. That's creepy. And then that's the whole thing with Taylor, and when Kanye or Diddy, one of those guys, ran up on the stage and did this whole weird humiliation to Taylor, saying she should have won the award, or it was this whole thing, and Taylor's just standing there. It was, they did that to save her. That this is like a real thing. And you know, I don't think, you know, Beyonce was born this evil witch or something. Some of these people, I don't know if some of these ceremonies is to allow these dark entities in to them, or if they don't allow them into them, if then they take their code and try and clone their code so that they can go into it like a bodysuit. And if some of these people aren't really now not I mean, some are clones, and some, I'm just wondering, are if they aren't like a bodysuit that is being used by some of these people. Like, because people have said that they've seen, there was a whole thing about Jay-Z being on a plane and shape-shifting. And I don't know, because you would think, like, would he have a private plane? But I don't know. I don't remember the whole situation, because I saw this years and years ago. And they said it was going on Twitter. This was blowing up on Twitter at the time. And all these people that were on the plane were showing it. It was being shared so fast because of how he looked. And he was like shifting kind of back and forth. And he smelled really bad and stuff. And his skin looked bad, like he looked really sick and stuff. And so, and right away, Twitter started taking him down. And then Twitter, like, crashed or something for an hour or two or something. It was like a whole weird thing. As these people are all protected. Or they were. They've been systematically removing their protection and surrounding them. So, and then once the ones were taken, then they replaced them with fake ones, because these people use so much fake ones, it's easy to trick them, I guess. Because I think it was to get further in, to get into, you know, going deeper into arrests and stuff. And so back on the Kamala thing. And so it just gets really weird when it's like, okay, so they're not doing shit over there. I even just saw a video of a trucker saying that normally truckers, like, this is like their Christmas bonus when these things happen, because there's so much overtime, there's so many loads, and they can make a shit ton of money after a disaster bringing supplies in. And so after that, this trucker went to go look at the thing because he wanted to get out on the road and make some money, of course. And he said, there's nothing. There's nothing. He was looking all over. And so he was trying to tell the people, there's nothing. They're not bringing you anything. And he said usually they bring them like all sorts of stuff. They go to the military base, they get all the stuff and they take it. And he said it's nothing. And But this is because it's showing that the government's on our side. And see, and this is multiple levels, because to me, on one level, the universe is telling you it's all gone. It's all gone. Go someplace else. And now, even to drive that home, they've got, what are they called? Hornets? Blackjack? Or one of those real big, those big stinging bugs. And the floods disrupted their homes or something. So now they're out in swarms and they're attacking people. I suppose some shit is frequency. It's so much shit. There's so much more going on. It's like certain chemicals were put on the grounds, and then those come into the ground. Like there's an interruption that is so multi-level, and they're doing all this shit, man, on purpose. So but to me, the universe is saying this is gone. Your home is gone. It's time to move on, because I see it all the time. Something that is just shown and shown and shown is that thing back in the Bible when all of those people gathered together and were walking. It was like this walking towards their freedom, walking towards this liberation. Even when they had the soldiers on their tail and they didn't know what was going to happen, and they were getting backed into a corner apparently or something, so everything seemed lost. And see, that's the part supposedly that this story also is representative of what's going on in the world. That's why it's like the people have got to start doing that. They've got to start coming together and moving in a different direction. And I don't know where, and I don't think that they're supposed to even know where. It's much more about coming together, and things are going to fall into place. So it would be like they're walking and all of a sudden they're standing on top of this beautiful hill and it's just as clear. It's like this heavens shining down and saying, this is your new home. And so it's just this thing of this in your making choices. The liberation starts with us. We no longer will follow your rules. We'll no longer be your slaves. We're not going to mindlessly work for you anymore. We're not going to mindlessly take a knee. None of this shit. So we're not going to buy your bullshit anymore. Like your fucking poison and shit. Fuck off. And we'll figure out how to grow our own food. We'll figure out how to get healthy seeds. We'll go to other countries, get their goddamn seeds. We'll figure our shit out. And we don't need to be run by labs and corporations anymore. So but the liberation is us wanting more for us. And so with people going, and in the Bible story, see, they are going towards their liberation, their freedom, in trust, not knowing where they're going or whatever. And the soldiers are hot on their tail. The Red Sea parts, they go and walk through, and the soldiers try and copy the same thing. But when the people get to the other side, then the soldiers are in the ocean floor, and then the waters go and cover them back over and drown them all. So it saves the people. See how the universe comes in and does this quick action, this quick flipping things the other direction. And it was just automatically, we're free. We're free. Look at, we're free. And in a safe place. So it is, that's what's going on in this thing. And when they kept saying it's biblical, it's because it's this whole fucking liberation of humanity. It's like this huge liberation, and it's been like something that has been being, like, we've been being chased the whole time. Like, it's not because we go and beg them to be over us. They just always find a way to infiltrate and get over us. And so this is a huge liberation, because they're going down. It's like the water coming in and cover them. They're all going down. And see, it's their own games that got them, because that was a big part of how they got caught, was through their spying on us, that it opened them up to all their information. So the people, because there was always a group that didn't agree with them. The split originally, what I had heard, came from in the military, that there was like two different types of generals. And so there was some that were like, no, this isn't right. And then they would different things. I think probably some found a red tie. Some were kicked out of the military. Some were controlled. Just different things. So the but the ones that were against all the crime stuff started being able to come together, and so they started forming this group in a plan. So they started making a plan of how they could take him down, because then these are the minds that you have working are, you know, the ones that have to figure out like how to take over countries and stuff. So they're trying to figure out how to take over their own country. So they're coming together and making this plan. And that supposedly is when they got Donald involved, because they needed to get somebody in the leadership role, but they didn't have money to do it. So they needed to find somebody who had a heart and integrity in the elite, rich community and stuff. And I think because he was out there for years, like you can go back where he's young, and he was out talking off on the government and the way they run their business and stuff like that. So he was saying stuff, I think, where they could clearly see. And then plus some of his friends and stuff. Like there's that bridge in between. Like he was really good friends with JFK Jr., the one that we know is to be JFK Jr., which that whole thing just becomes a whole nother thing. Because you got that other guy who's saying he's the real one and he looks like the kid. So, oh, there's so much weird shit in this place, man. So much fake people and like, fuck. I've heard people saying there's some people who aren't even, they're just like AI people. Like, I don't know. There's definitely people who think like a lot of movie stars aren't even real. So, I don't know. So anyways, so they had this plan to infiltrate and start like taking him down, kind of like from the inside and stuff. And so, you know, Donald got in there and he was able to put those EOs, those like rules in there. He was able to get in there and bankrupt them. He did a whole lot of stuff. He did a lot of things. And that's why they panicked, because they didn't, they didn't want him in there. And so they were going to just slide her in, but they just didn't realize how popular he was and how that shift. But there could have also been some help, because they were convinced that they had done enough, that she was definitely winning. And then when you see the footage of her finding out, you can see like what, and that's why she started accusing him of cheating. And so that whole thing went on. And so that one side right there, they got flipped. They got like, what the fuck? Because they had been able to control this for so long. And so I don't know, you know, if that was the other side, you know, playing their games back on them. And it's like, what are you going to do? What you going to do? Well, we're going to say he's cheating. Well, how are you going to, you know, you guys have been cheating this whole motherfucking time. You're going to have to expose yourself. So it's been all this like, well, and then you see all this like them trying to say it's him. And it's like all this weird shit. So, but it's because, you know, the stuff that they were doing was pushing it to where if these people say anything, it's like they have to expose themselves. It's just like how the criminal minds work, you know. It's how they run their empire, you know, through blackmail and stuff like that. That's why they're all these crimes are going to be like racketeering and stuff like that's what they do. These people are just, you know, like the mafia, and it's, I don't know. I just think it's like no coincidence when you hear like some of these families' names, the original ones. So, anyways, so they got this group to go in, and they got all this information. So back when this very first started, like when I was being on YouTube all the time, there was Charlie Freak. If you can still find his videos, especially his old one, but this kept getting taken down, but it was good. And then it got so shared and so many people saw it. But if you haven't seen his video yet, of him explaining what was really going on when Donald was in and he went out to do his little tour thing. And he went to all these different countries. And the news kept saying, oh my God, he's such a doofus. Look what he's doing. Oh my God, he just did this. Oh my God, he just did that. And really trying to make like he's an imbecile. And doing that on the news every night. So, you know, these other people are becoming like, oh my God, he's the worst. He's so embarrassing. And then you see how things flip and then look what they're with Joe. But this is their thing. This is their gymnastics. All these people, all of a sudden it's like, you know, there's going to be a completed circuit and they're going to be like, what? Oh my God. Because it's something they have to look at in themselves. So, so anyways, the dog and pony show continues. But so when Donald got in there, so what Charlie Free was showing was that he went on this tour thing. And when he went into all these meetings, he went in with these big ass packets. And they were all the evidence. And we would go in and he would set down the packets. And he would tell them, you know, this is the deal. They've got it all. And this is your, you know, this is your takedown. And so a lot of the stuff was like a surrender. It was like there was people who had to pick which side they were going to be on because they were, all the evidence was in. And so some of the people like became more like informed, like they were done for. And so that all went on, and that was in 16. Or I don't know if it was 16. I don't know exactly what year it was. It was in that reign, though, in that period of time. It seemed like it was early on, but I don't remember exactly. And when Charlie Freak showed that thing, though, it was like 2020. So it could have been like right before he was leaving office or something. I don't know. Everything has been super, super duper strategic, though. And they have had all of these people's, I think, through Looking Glass. And supposedly it was the dark people were using the Looking Glass to see. And it has something to do with, they kept trying to keep rain. So they kept, it's like they try and be one step ahead all the time. So they would use that, but the Looking Glass all of a sudden was like, wouldn't give them anything. That their reign was ending. And they couldn't find it to go past 2040 or something. And so they started panicking and started doing all these weird things. And I don't know if they tried using CERN and stuff. This is, I think, where they started messing with time or something. There's something weird because they wanted to try and go back in time and change something so that they could keep it going. So there was some kind of thing where they kept trying to, well, if we do this, if we go back there and we do this, does it change? So there was some kind of thing about that or something. And then there was some kind of thing about, yeah, that they gave up on Looking Glass or something and the other people got it. Well, I'm not sure if that's all true or whatever. But once the other people got it, and then they could see all of the stuff, because then you see what's going to play out. And I swear, it's just like looking, though. It's just like looking. Like, I think that you don't need the Looking Glass to look. You just need to, I don't know why it is. So anyways, then if they, whatever that they had seen, then I swear to God, because Donald started saying stuff ahead of time. There was so much stuff he said in that 4-year period that was, it was like this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and everything was happening. He would say it and then it would happen. And I knew it had something to do with Looking Glass and stuff, them knowing this stuff ahead of time. But, and it also, this quantum computer is telling them. And so the quantum computer has something to do with about telling them moves, like, well, do this and this will happen. And they go in and they play it all out. So it has something to do with how they created this TDS and how much hostility, like these people have to be brought down slowly, but in the bringing them down slowly is going to show them their own hatefulness, their own biases, because there's no other way to show it but to show the truth. So the people have to see their own programming, their own mind control, and they have to go through the process of like, why was I doing that? Why was I acting like that? Why would I be this way to somebody I don't even know? Why would I just believe this because somebody said it and stuff? So it's all that process that people have to go through. So that is, the whole thing with the awakening. So that's why I've said that he's like a catalyst to all this awakening and having people see, because they can get people to follow along these certain storylines because they hate him. He surely did it, but it's so crazy because these other people are doing it, but you're convinced he's doing it. But that's why they have to, it's like he's a catalyst, like he can keep their attention on all this crazy bullshit. And then all of a sudden that they realize like, no, it wasn't even him. I just believed that because I was told that, but it's really this guy I'm sitting over here cheering for. And so it's really crazy. What was that one? Because that was something I was like, oh my God, the absurdity of this shit. Something about, was it a bush or something? It was something about one of the presidents or something, but it's a part of like what Joe is showing now. Is like, oh, okay, so he can walk around stumbling like a fool, not in all this weird shit. Like it's all being done on purpose. It's all has to do with for people to break down through their biases. I can just see it. Like, people that holds you back, keeps you in judgment, and holds you in lower frames of mind. So you have to let go of your biases and your judgments towards others. And then on a spiritual plane is, you understand that it's roles and stuff, that people aren't who you're typecasting them, to think that that's all they are. So that is, you got to let go of that, because that is a part in you. It's not them. They're not typecasting themselves. You're typecasting them. And then there's so much with stereotyping and stuff, and it's all based on these biases and stuff. It's all created through programming, and so it's all things that people have to break down. So it's just like the computer figured out ways to have it play out so that people would be able to, and it's based on numbers. It's not like every single person can do the same thing. And it will see a lot of people. It will work well for a lot of people, but they're going to, when they hit into having to not hate him, and really you can't spend time hating him, because they're going to just turn it on themselves. And so that when we get to that part, there will be a lot of people, but there will still be some people who, that isn't, I don't know. There will be people in denial as long as, that can't, it's very hard to look at yourself. So it's very hard to face yourself and to face your own biases and your own weaknesses and stuff. So, it's difficult, but that's why, it's, when you do it, it's like a fucking the phoenix rising from the ashes. It's like you feel the power, behind what you did and what you're doing. It's very cleansing. And so anyways, so back to this with over there. So, they're just bulldozing through. There's still, they're still finding people who are live and stuff too. They could just be bulldozing. The whole thing is just so mud flood that, they don't care about us. And it's very tragic. Like, and I knew these tragic things were going to be happening, but I didn't know where or how. And then there's more to come right in that same area. That other storm is supposed to hit this week. Like, it's a bigger distance between storms, which is even more unsettling, because then you have all these people who are trying to clean up the mess, and then another one's going to come in and hit. And it's like the universe is pushing you out of this area. This area is going to be underwater. And that's what I think. And so if the universe keeps pushing and pushing, that's where you got to get in the flow of the universe and be like, we got to leave this area. And yeah, this is devastating. This is horrible. And, the stuff that they're doing, but it shows, that they don't care about us. They don't care. And then you got, now even this 750, because you got all these people applying for it. And, but now to find out it's a loan. And I bet you it even has interest. Because this is what they don't give a fuck. And one person, they even were leaving the grocery store and they had $450 worth of food. And it wasn't even that. It was like two carts, and just the like bottom part filled, and one had something sticking up. It wasn't even like you'd think like, oh, it's full. No, $450 and buy shit. And especially like when you're needing, like when you've got nothing, like it's just like moving into an apartment for the first time. And so so $450, and she starts crying because she's like, they want to give us $750. What the fuck is that going to do? And so these people are all really going through it, It's like this is their real devastation. This is their real awakening. This is their real trauma. This is their real, the dramas that are going to go on to bring people to their knees. Is there's only one thing that you need to take a knee to, and it's like the Lord and Savior. It's like the universe. It's like the power, the spiritual power of nature. It's the natural consequence. And that one girl, she was even explaining about the chakras and the one who was talking about the where you're in the tribulation now, is is sloth, glutton, all these different things that they say is different chakras. And when you're not healing that chakra, you're feeding that beast. And so gluttony, I don't remember where she said. It had to be lower chakra, because that is where people, like I said, they feed into this keeping everything down. It's like comfort food. It's like eating so that you can comfort yourself. And then people, start feeling more protected, because becomes like a barrier. Your soul doesn't feel so much of everybody else because you have this barrier. But then the barrier ends up becoming your prison and your sickness, because you always were supposed to heal this stuff rather than to try and protect yourself. And so that is, and it has so much to do with this feeding this I'm telling you, insecurities and stuff is very self-indulgent. Once you move out of it, like, it doesn't seem that way when you're in it. Once you move out of it, then you can recognize it, and it can sound harsh to somebody who's still in it. It's like, oh yeah, okay, asshole. But I was that. I lived years being insecure. It's so weird too how you can seem confident to other people and be insecure. But we are all these different things, different people. Like, they would think like, well, if I was, this is what a confident person would do, and this is what an insecure, like, we all have our own things of how we look at things. And so it's not just one set thing. And it's based on our own perspective. So somebody could be like, oh my God, that person's such an asshole. And somebody else be like, I love them. Oh my God, they're so funny. Oh my God, I think they're a dick. So it's how people rub you. It's like, it comes from inside of you, the different people, So, so anyways, the people over here in this area need to really be coming, to me, they all need to be coming together, which is really cool, because there is, and supposedly there's a rumor going around that a gang group of Appalachian hillbillies went and jumped a FEMA president or something, beat him up. I don't know, but that's what is evolving over there. They are coming together, and this is what these people have created, but they're ready to take on the government right then and there. Like, they're like, and this is, and who knows how far it's going to go with all of this stuff. But That's what has to happen, though, is the people have to come together, and the empathy and compassion, because other people, get involved. And so but that is this whole evolving, us as mankind, as we come together, and tragedies bring us together. It's so crazy, because even like in a family where people aren't talking and stuff like that, if somebody dies, then all of a sudden, you have people going and talking to each other. So it's just like a thing of uh like it just there's so much to the whole thing with loss, and it's on a bunch of different levels and stuff like that. But loss does, I don't know, can bring us to our senses for sure. And but that is what we're going through, so much loss, because there's so much of reevaluation in life when you lose things. So there's so much of that going on. But anyways, and then when you start seeing that, because they have been going and doing this everywhere, like I've been saying from the very beginning. And even when you go back further, the Sumerian tablets talk about like this place was being used for mining. It was always being resources taken from it, and this planet. And that's what, like, some of these places that they tell us are like these valleys and stuff like that are really, there's people who go and look at some of these mountain ranges and stuff, like, and they see like petrified people and animals and stuff, but they also see the same pattern as mines of mining in places. So there's this place has been being mined since she came to be, and people found her. They started beating up on her, and so and that is why she's evolving into this, like, you're with me or you're against me. And that's what, you've got to evolve as people to be like with her, care about her, care about nature, care about your environment and stuff like that. And the people who don't, the people who are just artificial and stuff, it's like they won't go into that next part. That it's just like they'll fall off. Something will go down. And so anyways, but they've been doing this with the resources, and then they made it really crystal clear. I'm sure it's been clear for multiple times throughout our lives, but it definitely was being driven home to me during the Hawaii thing. And they've got certain things that they want to use for their new technology, and they're going to go in and wipe these people out. But it's also not even just for the resources. He's got the sniffles still, but they're still better. But it's that they also want the land. They want, they try and just take all of the best land for them. And so all the land is good, but it is like, so some of that land that they have still has good soil and stuff. So if they were going to grow food, see, they would grow food over. But yesterday when I heard these people, like, there's a whole bunch of people talking about this stuff over here in North Carolina at the resources and stuff. But when I was hearing these people talking, I was like, oh my God, Amazon, like the rainforest. What have they been fucking saying for so long? Like, what have any of us been able to do? Even if you had the awareness that these rich corporations were going in and destroying the rainforest and stealing the land and destroying the environment for all of these different animals, these different tribes and stuff like that. It's like, what can we do? But it still has been in our face. This has still been what these people are a wrecking ball to the planet. And so that is, what they're doing over here. And they don't care if you're sitting on resources, they'll just wipe you off. And so that is what is going down. But the thing is the new information I just got this morning was, so I want to be as accurate as possible, but I'll share the video if it's still up, if somebody wants to see it. If you really, like, well, I've got to know exactly who and what and where. It will be more and more. This will just keep coming out because, like somebody said, like, I think the fact checkers have gone home. So it will just keep spilling out. And so But this, is piques your interest for sure, because it makes like, oh, okay, that's why she's up here on this stage. So the companies that are invested, because they had already went months ago and got some kind of clearance on this land. They got some kind of a thing of, I don't even know what the deal is with all this fucking nonsense with civil matters and paperwork and all their bullshit, because that's all it is bullshit. But they got some sort of paperwork going for this area and these resources. So that had already started. And then they just come in and just wipe them out with this, 20 feet of water coming from a hurricane that's traveled across the mountain range to get over here, bringing 20 feet of water with it. Oh, okay. The infrastructure, our infrastructure was created to mud flood us, to destroy us. Like, when you think about it, like, why the fuck would we be damming up water all over the place? Like, there may have been a point a long while ago where it was like, well, we need to have water, it keeps going, so let's create a dam and hold water here. But they created a whole system of controlling movement of the water. Like I always said, they're always in control of our movement, even when we don't know it. They're in control of our movement. I saw this, because I was suspicious of this always, forever. Like, I would be in California in traffic, and I'd be like, what in the fuck? This makes no motherfucking sense. So you're telling me that there's just somebody up there who just decides to stop, and we're all just going to sit here? And then, so there would be certain things where I was like, this just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And then I saw somebody who was in the front of a place where there was traffic the other day, and there's a car, because they were like, what in the hell is going on? So you have the lines of traffic, and you have this car just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Nobody could pass them. So it's totally holding the movement of the traffic. And then somebody went in the comments was saying, oh, that's a blah, 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 to control the movement of the traffic. I was like, I fucking know that they do that, like, why we have traffic, I'm telling you. I know that there's times when a lot of people come on the road and they use it to their advantage. I swear to God, they can put out a truck that's going to drive 20 miles an hour or something. It's all fucking bullshit. And so anyways, but the water control and this mass murder thing that just went down. So releasing all this water, and this water coming where would never have gone before, because if we wouldn't have made all these dams, we would just have wider rivers in some places, and then we would just build around them, but we wouldn't have to worry so much of this, what they've done. And 20 feet of water coming in and washing this isn't like little mini houses. These are big houses. They were being washed away. And fuck. Man, so, it's fucking good. I'm so sick of being poisoned, I'll tell you. How long have I been, so give me a, God. So they already had the situation set up that they were going to come here and take all this lithium or something. Like, this was all pre-planned. And then they come in and wash the area away. And then there's this whole thing with the court. There's more resources there. And, but I don't remember exactly how it was worded, but the person who is on this register to get this stuff is, oh, isn't that funny? It's Kamala's husband. That's weird. And there was so much stuff about, with Nancy and an insider with the, what I'm saying, when you trade on the inside, and how they're all going to be getting in trouble for all these crimes and the stuff that they've done, because they've been manipulating the economy and manipulating everything so that they can always be making money. They know how to go in and put money into this area, that area, and then they make sure that that's going to be a good investment. Even that whole thing is coming out now about this meeting that occurred when the music industry took hip hop and turned it into rap. They called all these big names in, and they wanted him to all sign these contracts because they wanted him to take it into a darker, back into rap, or it became like this very violent, and they wanted it to go in that direction because they wanted certain groups of people to become really pissed, and then they wanted them to feel like it's hopeless, there's no hope, and then make sure there's a lot of drugs around. So they wanted to create this whole thing, because there was some guys that had bought some prisons, and they needed to fill them up. And they came right out and said it was a whole contract and stuff. Some of the guys left, but there's some that signed it. And then, so I guess that is kind of also with this beef going on with like Ice Cube and 50 Cent, where they're different than like Diddy and stuff. And some of these guys have come out and said, like, there's a fucking one of Biggie, because Diddy killed Biggie. And there's a song that Biggie is sitting there saying about, yeah, comes and says, like, he fucks them in the ass and throws their dead bodies off bridges and stuff, like kids. It's like, man, I see, I did never listen to that music. My kids started listening to it, and I was just like, ugh, it's so violent, it's so much cussing, like, there's so much N-word. Like, what? This is not happy music. And like, I could pick up on the sense of like, fuck, but I didn't know the nefarious, what they were doing behind the scenes. Like, they were purposely, it makes so much sense though, like how that they would do that. But everything, they always make it look like it's really organic to us, like, oh, it just shifted that direction. But I don't know. I think that's what some of this has to do with, some of the sellouts that that did go and do the stuff that these people wanted to tear down their own community. But when you have these people like the dealer, like, Allie. And there's even stuff where people are saying Allie Carter is Tupac's daughter. And that's why she was taken and had all this stuff done to her. But she had been to a bunch of his parties, apparently. And, he had no problem taking little dark-skinned kids, like, from his own thing and destroying them and killing them and stuff. Like, he's not good for his community. Neither is Oprah. There's a lot of these people. Sadly, Kevin Hart, obviously, he's I don't even know. Like, there's people saying, like, maybe he's not even a real person. He may be just somebody that they made out of some other DNAs and stuff. I don't know. Like, there's so much speculation, with people trying to figure out, like, what's going on and stuff. Anything can be on the table. Definitely, there's weird stuff about, like, how some people look so much like other people and stuff. There's a lot of weird stuff. And there's, like, no accident that a big part of all of this so quick would be, the 23andMe, all these people stepping down. Because it's going to be so much about them selling our particulates, and there's people who are also now catching on. Oh, it was always they were looking for a certain group, some group, something in some DNA. I don't know what it is or who it is. I guess we'll find out, because there's all sorts of different beings here and stuff, and our DNA is our it's like our program. And so we all do have different DNA. We have different DNAs from where we are from, what our experiences have been, everything. Because, you have been all these different beings. You've been all these different colors and stuff like that. It's a part of you. And so they are reading these codes, looking for something. They're looking for a certain code, a certain thing. And I don't know if they thought, like, if they found this certain code and they killed all these people off, that would give them more time. I'm not sure. That's what it kind of seems like to me. And I think that has something to do with the tests in the schools, getting all these kids in these rooms, looking for these certain. I feel like that they've always been looking for a specific group, a specific code, a specific number or something in the code. Like, I don't know what it is, but there's something. And then there's a whole black market that we're going to find out about. There's so much with just the parts and the codes, and there's so much more to where they're selling your data. They're selling your data. Like, people were so worried. Oh, they're gonna have my cell phone number and stuff. No, it's way more worse than that. And so, and a part of the speculation on the 23andMe or some of the stuff that's come out is that, so these companies that always have a magic one, if they get our specific stuff, that not only do they know how to hit us specifically to get us sick, but they know exactly what it is that we need. And they would do that kind of stuff because that's what they are always testing. You know, does that work? Does that work? And then they try and tell us that their testing is for the betterment of man. But see, the people don't realize how really deep this testing goes, that they're testing on us, and that they choose. But before, you know, like when they had like the asylums, so they would have the asylums, and they get people to go bring in, you know, family member or people you don't want anymore, bring them to the asylum. People that you think are too weird, bring them to the asylum. And they would study them and stuff and try and see the different things of like why people, because there was definitely people who were more accessing the other realms or something. Because then they start being like, "Whoa, you're crazy. That's schizophrenia and stuff." I mean, I don't know if some of these Yahtzee doctors definitely knew that was real. So it's like, well, if we break their mind, if we tell them it's not real, let's see what happens. Can we convince them it's not real? And then keep all those charts and then take that on a bigger plane into the programming that goes more mainstream. So it's like they think that they're learning off of these ones, but all their lessons and their stuff is always to go against us. So it's always to outsmart us, to fuck us over. So if they had access to them, then they started wanting people, and they started using the people in the jails. Then they wanted more people in the jails. Then the people in like the mountain town, people who they start seeing as disposable, people who aren't coming and joining into their game, people who are trying to stay out and be independent and stuff, that they see them as expendable. So they started attacking like little towns and stuff. Like, where it gets really nefarious even is like they go into places and bring these businesses, like these corporations or whatever, and they're like, oh, all people are going to get these jobs, all these new jobs are coming into town, and our town's going to build up. But there was bringing in these like waste disposal. So they decide that they're going to dispose of waste in that area, and that company needs to dispose of all this stuff. And so then they pick the area to dispose of the stuff. So then the people all start really getting sick. But they monitor all this stuff too. But but anyways, so see, they're always testing. Oh, so that is kind of like the birth of what was that one? Because the CDC, the ones that were following, a sickness is over here. We got to go and search and check it out and figure it all out. So those agencies were the ones tracking how, because I've said, like, I've thought that is very weird, because back in the 80s or the 90s, I think even in the 2000s, I don't know, but definitely in the 80s or the 90s. If you had a sexually transmitted disease, especially ones that start with an A or an H, or one that has an H at the beginning but ends with a big letter C, there was a few of those. And if people got those, that the Center of Disease Control, they would supposedly be tracking it, and they would go find all the people that were linked to this person. And but what shows me is that, like, you know, there's something, because once you know, my doctor then should have told them. I should have been approached immediately if that's what they're really trying to do. I'm still, it's been a couple years. I haven't heard jack shit. I haven't got a letter in the mail, nothing. So, are they really tracking these diseases? Yeah, I don't know about that. But back when they were, there was, I mean, I would assume they got all the information, because especially now they've reintroduced it. So, you got a whole bunch of people out there who have it and don't even know that they have it. And you have so many people right now who are having these fast cancers. Like, you know, within a couple weeks they're, you know, gonna die. That, and people just don't know. You gotta go and hit it hard on the parasite cleansing. There's all these doctors who are coming out and saying all of the CANCER is all PARASIT. All of it. It is just the size. If it's microscopic or not microscopic. Going after the bugs is the way to get rid of it. And I'm still doing on Stella. Like, it's not, because I kind of thought, like, you know, maybe a couple weeks, a couple months or something. I think we're on a 3 months at this point. I'd have to go back and really go through and try and see. Maybe some of you guys remember better if it's 3 or 4 months. Oh, I know how I could check. I could go back and look at my Amazon and see when I very first started buying that stuff. But when I started giving it to her daily, that every day, and she definitely, her health is definitely improved. Oh my gosh. She acts like she's younger. I won't say like she acts like she's a little puppy, but she does have so much more energy and stuff. But she still has some, you know, tumors or whatever, these landmines that are on her. And sometimes they get really swollen, but she won't stop drinking the water outside, and I know it's full of fucking toxins. So I just got to keep going and going and going. But I feel for sure that stuff, you know, it keeps them alive. Like, I'm telling you, if anybody who has got anything with that, and look at the price difference. I mean, that other stuff costs so much that they're able to give every doctor $5,000 for just prescribing it. Like, it's such a fucking it's such a fucking bullshit thing, too. I mean, it's absurd, really, when you think of it. It's just the way that they move money around. Because it's absurd. You would be charging, if you own the insurance company and you have to pay the money to the people who have the thing, then why would you charge them? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't, like, the whole thing is just this way of keeping things moving in our reality and keep us chasing something. Because then we feel like, you know, we got to have insurance. We can't go to the doctor without insurance. That's stressful. That keeps your cortisol level up. That keeps you stressed out. Then, you know, they just hit you with some more things, maybe some poisons and stuff like that. Pretty soon you're beat down and sick and going to the doctor begging for information. And so, anyways, their whole thing is just a bunch of bullshit, moving money and stuff like that. So and it's easy, it's basic. And all of the fucking parasites in the food right now, that is not by accident. I swear there's more. than it has ever been. This woman, she went and got this big old, like, I've seen so many people get these big old pieces of fish at Costco. When you go to Costco, their big pieces of salmon and stuff always look delightful. They're huge, and I've had them before. I bought so many of them. And they're huge, and they're beautiful. I mean, they look like, prime stuff. Then all these people are taking them home. And this one woman, she had put the spices on and everything to let it sit overnight. And then she went out in the morning or whatever, and she gets it out, and all these worms came out. Like she said it must have been the salt or something. She was so disgusted. And she's like, maybe the salt drove them up to the top, or the salt is drying them out. Like, what are those things? Slugs, like back in the day, it was like, go put salt. This is what my mom would do. Go put salt out there on the slugs. And then, and it kills them. Anyways, she was like, maybe it was the salt on there. I don't know. But she had all these worms and stuff. So, I don't know. And a part of, too, of the food situation is that, like, we're getting our food from other places. Like, they take our food, send it over to China or something, so China can prepare it for us or something. I don't know. There's weird shit with the resources and the food. And it's like they purposely are giving us poison. And they're doing it on purpose because other places aren't even allowed to have the stuff that we're allowed to have. There's so many things that we eat that are illegal in other places. And so, anyways, but that's all however all this stuff is going to play out with the food and resources and stuff. Like, I know the resources are going to become free. But I don't know the food thing. Because to me, it's going to keep going in a different direction on the food. As my stomach's growling. It's going to keep going as a different direction. It's going to go through a huge wave of people really starting to take care of themselves and really evaluating food in a different way. But then it's going to keep evolving, because I really think it's going to go into this point of, like, you would only eat just because you wanted to, just because you wanted to enjoy it, just because you felt like eating. It wouldn't be like you needed to eat anymore. I think that it's going to go in that direction, but I don't know how long that's going to take. Like, fuck, I thought this shit was going to happen way sooner. Just like when my family's like, yeah, you said that a long time ago. So it's the same thing with this. That could be like fucking way ahead. I don't know how far ahead but I can see that. So I don't know how far ahead it is, though. So anyways, there's going to be more exposing of the people involved. They are, I mean, they apply for all this stuff before they even go do the crime. Then they go do the crime, and they've done this so many times that they think they can get away with it. And these people who are involved and stuff. So there's going to just be like a whole falling of all of this is just going to keep falling apart and falling apart and falling apart. And there's going to be more storms. For sure there's going to be more storms. Over here, yesterday I saw a couple of videos, because there's all these people like crying, telling people to leave. There's tons of, crying, telling people to leave California, crying, telling people to leave New York, and crying and telling people to leave the Pacific Northwest and up here by Vancouver, up here where I'm at. And so there's a bunch of earthquakes. And I did tell my one daughter yesterday, because she was at, I think she was at Costco. She was at the grocery store yesterday, and she said, oh my God. Oh, she was at Costco. She said, it is insane in here. Everybody's panic buying. That was yesterday in Yakima. So I don't know what they would be panicking about. So anyways, the strike is already over, and it's like, so they just want us all to talk about the screams and the thing, because then there was people who were saying, there was a guy who was on one of the docks, and he said the strike is over the automated workers. He said that they were turning everything robotic, and that it used to be people out here doing the work. And so he said, that's what we're striking about. So I don't know, because then you have these other ones who are striking about the screams and they're not allowed to open them and stuff. But part of it, I think, is that is part of the disclosure. And so it's be like kind of, because it kind of seems like that if the bad guys were still in charge, like they would have settled with the people to not draw attention to themselves. But that somebody else somehow got in charge because they wanted to draw attention to it. So, you know, a 3-day strike can bring a lot of attention, you know what I mean? So some of the stuff is just like, okay. It's like, that's a little weird. So so that business is over. So I don't know why the people are panic buying or whatever. But she said all these people are panic buying at the store. So I don't know if that was all toilet paper or whatever. But there is, God, this wheeze. There is this, there's this one guy who's always talking about the earthquakes and stuff and the tsunamis and all that. And he said that there is, I don't remember all the stuff he said. He's said a lot of stuff. But he has said about the tsunami is supposed to be like 900 feet coming in or something. It's going to go over the mountains. And he's always bringing up about all of this activity. And so there's all this activity by Mount Adams. And so I told my daughter, when she said that, I said, well, there's a lot of activity by Mount Adams. And she said, that's the volcano above me. So that's the one at Mount Rainier. Would be Mount Adams is the volcano that's so huge and it's got all this action that's happening. And the guy who does all these videos talking about it, he started talking about the smells. And so he said that all these people smelling sulfur over here, it has to do with the magma. It's the magma moving up is the sulfur smells. So it sure seems like that we are going to have a bad eruption over here. And I just told them, you know, just pay attention to the smells. If you start seeing smoke coming out of the motherfucker, start figuring out about leaving. But see, they've got, to me, their evacuation would be a lot better. Because it's kind of like, well, they're in the Yakima Valley. Which I just saw something about the Yakima Valley. Where I was like, huh, that's interesting. Was it? It was a girl who was talking about something happening in the Yakima Valley, but I can't remember what it was. But anyways, so there's a lot of mountains around there, and they're kind of like these really big, like kind of like Utah or something. These big deserty looking mountains are really pretty. But so once they get in there, but there's so many parts that you could walk. I think that they could walk out of there. But I don't know. Like I don't know, because there is like those big mountains that, like when you drive on there is some intense, like going down, you're going and fast and turning. Like some of these drives in these mountains are fucking intense, man. So, and then plus you're going like 75, and then you got people who get on your ass going 85. It's like, fuck, dude, this is fucking intense, man. And, but to me, it seems like if they all took off walking, like if that thing started going, they could all start taking off. And the roads would maybe get clogged off because they're clogging the roads off. That's the thing that people need to have the awareness of. They're closing roads off when this shit goes down. They're closing people in. They're trying to kill us, you know. So walking and taking off and walking and going towards, to me, Spokane. And what's weird is when my mom, because, you know, she's been religious for a long time, and she had moved to Spokane. I had moved there because that's where my husband wanted to go because his brother lived there. And I wanted to move to New Mexico. I didn't want to move up north. Fuck, I'm not a cold person. Now, I've lived most of my life up here now. So he wanted to move up here, so we moved up here. And then my mom, at some point, I don't know, my stepdad said she started feeling guilty about how she had treated me as a child. So she wanted to move near me and build a relationship with me. But anyways, so when I talked to her, she told me that it was in the Bible that this place, there's some old map or something that showed where the places would be that would be devastated. And I don't know if this has to do with the naval map. Like, I don't know what her map is, but she said that the area there was going to still be there. Well, that area there is still there in the new map. So over in that area in Spokane, like all of that area is still there. And so it's trippy because she moved there. And so anyways, but now that would be the direction that I would go, is towards my mom's, like I've said the whole time, like, but because depending on how it goes down, whatever's going to go down, that has to do with how you escape. And then when they're coming in with the weather already, like if they come in with the snow and stuff, like that will be really hard to cross these mountains, especially if I'm having to walk. Like, it's just like there's so much of the stuff you just have no idea what's to come. It's like, fuck, man, this is intense. And so anyways, this earthquake, this volcano can be going because there's activity in that one. Like one can set off the next one. And then they were saying that there's so much activity right now with these volcanoes and the what is that? Cascadia subjunction or something. So the fault line for the Cascadia mountain range, where this is all falling, and it goes up and goes through Canada too. So when that one goes, that's the one that they're saying is going to be the one that's going to cause all of this rift to occur, and that there's a lot of activity, and that's the one that's going to affect by where I'm at. And it's kind of like, I have no idea. I don't know if where I'm at is going to be left as a little island, or if it's going to be we're all having to escape. Like, none of it. Like, there's no way to know, There's no way of knowing. It's not like we're supposed to know. It's not like we can know ahead. It's because then, we wouldn't live our experience. We would try and jump timelines out of it. We would try and escape our own. We'd be running from ourselves, running from our own life journey. So anyways, it is intense, though, the build up to whatever the fuck is going to go down. And then I keep seeing these videos. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest, you need to evacuate. You need to evacuate. Fuck, dude, I want to evacuate. I've been waiting for the universe to show me where to go. Like, I get, like, okay, you're going to go over to Spokane, but there's something more to it. There's like a timing thing. It feels, if I were to all of a sudden go right now, I would feel like this is total panic mode. This would be like a 2020, when I stopped paying certain things and stuff. It was like, well, it was a little premature because there was a lot more still to go. So that's what it still seems like to me. Like if I just all of a sudden abandoned all my things and took off, it would be like, oh, I'm so scared and so panicked. And what am I running from? Am I running from death? Because I'm not scared of that. And but I'm scared of trees falling. I'm scared of, seeing something happen to my animals and stuff. Like I'm scared to watch people be traumatized and have bad things happen to them. Like that's horrible. But I'm, leaving the game and going to the other side doesn't scare me. That is, it's always just that moment, that jump that is kind of, it seems like, ugh, it's intense. But I think it's, a lot more gradual, or it's not as scary as what it seems to leave the game as what, it's built up. So I think, I'm not scared to die anyways, but whatever is going to go on, I know I'm not here for that. I know I'm here for where we're going. I'm not here for the end. I'm here for the beginning. And so it's like play through. It's like, I'm not sure, what I'm playing through. And it's scary for sure. But, if it does come down to where we are having to evacuate, that's definitely where I would be going. But it also is based on not just because my mom's house is there and stuff like that and my family, but it also has to do with the map. It's on that map thing. So, and that doesn't mean that that's where I'm going to stay. There's going to be a lot of shifting around. You just got to go to where you're led when you go, and you got to follow the path when it opens. But there would be something that would open, like something would open. Like it's not just the tapping at your fear and getting you scared isn't the opening. That is the challenge of like keeping yourself calm. Okay, yeah, that's scary, but is it happening right now? No. In the here and now, what do I need to deal with today? Well, I got to figure out how to eat today. I got to figure out how to go out and take the dogs for a walk today. Like in the here and now is, and then we do have it looming, because they do hit out of nowhere. But that's why you got to find peace in preparation. Like, okay, well, I've got, like, to me, I've got cheese and crackers, peanut butter and crackers. I got a shit ton of soup that's already made up. And I've got, so I've got all sorts of stuff to eat if there's no way to cook. And then, if the things, the refrigerator and stuff all goes off, then it's not, I don't think I have a bunch of stuff in there that's going to go. I just feel like I'm more prepared for things. And then plus having lots and lots of beans, like you can live off beans. Oh yeah, and that's a whole thing too now, is that the lies behind that. So they tried to build up this whole thing about meat and stuff, but there's a thing when you have that comparison, you get all the stuff you need from beans. And it's so weird is because when people kept telling me, oh, well, what are you going to eat for your protein? You got to have protein and stuff. And I say, well, I just eat beans. That's not good enough. You got to do more than that. Beans is the best one out of the thing. I can share that little, it's just like a picture comparison thing over how much of whatever's in each thing. Oh yeah, and I got this little thing. It came yesterday. It's the cutest little thing. It's like this little fish. So when you look it up, I think it's called like the iron fish or something like that. And it's a little iron fish. And you put it in with your boiling water, or if you're making soup or whatever it is, like because cooking in cast iron puts iron into your food. So when you are boiling water or something, then you use this little fish so that it puts it into, because you can use it in, I've got the little paper. I think it is like soup or water, but I don't know. I swear to God it said soup. So I don't know. I'd have to look at the little thing again. But I put it in my teapot because I was like, well, I'm just going to get this water every day, all the iron in this water, and then drinking the copper all day, and then the magnesium. I'm like a crazy person spraying magnesium on me all the time. But it really is, like, I see a difference in there, even though it goes slow. And every time it slows down, it's like I feel like I need to pick up the pace again. Oh yeah, yesterday I was messing with my hair, and I flipped it over like this, and there was all this hair that was sticking up. So I've had a ton of new growth in here. And this growth still, because there was all these people, especially hairdressers, who were fucking arguing with me like, no, it would all fall out, and then it would have to grow in dark. That's impossible. That hair, and once your hair is gray or white, it's dead. It's like, dude, okay. So, but these new hairs, see, they're growing in white, but so we'll watch them, because this will turn brown. All of this will. Brown or whatever color my hair is. I don't even know. It definitely has lots of, I don't know, I think natural hair color has a lot of different colors, because it's got a lot of red, it's got a lot of golden. So I just think, people are always going in and trying to get all these different colors in their hair. It's like, well, your natural color would sure has a lot of color, especially your healthy natural color. There's a lot of people have their unhealthy natural color. It's like the color's been depleted. It's been drained from them. And so that when you start drinking and copper, and we'll see, because now I'm doing this iron in my thing. And the little fish thing was like 17 bucks. And it's cute too. It's really iron little fish. And it is like about that big. And so anyways, we'll see the improvements that start happening from that. So, okay, more and more being exposed, more and more about people having to come together, more and more about people seeing everything as it's playing out, and more about being prepared, And the more that they scare us, the more challenge it is to get yourself into a position of being like, there's nothing to be scared of. There's nothing to be scared of. And they're really driving home the war situation. So I kind of, I wish they would just hurry up and say they're going to nuke us today and do an alarm and everybody would panic. But they can do an EMP or whatever when that goes down. Like they could still, slam into, knock buildings down in some of these big places. So it can be really horrible and tragic. It may not be just like the Hawaii, where, oh, wow, it was a mistake. They can actually hit us and convince people that it was a nuke, but you got to know, like, they're not allowed to do those. It's like a universe thing. They're not allowed to do that. And but they can use frequencies. They can do an EMP. They can knock shit down that way. And, so whatever goes down, it can still be really bad, and we still have these looming earthquakes and volcanoes. And I'm just still hoping that there is this, and it's not like trying to save for looking for a savior. I'm trying to like look for the patterns and the timelines and trying to see like the shifts and openings and stuff. And so if if the people if the timeline so if the situation went like, if they went with the, like, because I could tell you the universe how to play it out would be convenient for all of us, is that tell us that they're going to hit us with this nuke, some buildings will go down or whatever. It's going to probably be really horrible. And then and they probably have it set too to have instigators do stuff locally at the same time, like things to explode and shit. It will probably be really bad if that's the way that they go at it. And then once that, and it will be hitting hardest to the big cities. Big cities, I just saw some girl. She's trying to be all sweet and everything, and she lives in a city over in Northern California, and she's telling people, she's opening her home if somebody wants to leave North Carolina from that doesn't have a home now, that you can come and stay at her place now. It's like, girl, you're going to be looking for some place to stay too. It's like that people just don't see what's coming. They think, oh, that was sad. That was a big storm. This is the ending. This is the mud flood. This is the ending of this time period. It's a big finito. So and and I hope, like, like if I were to tell them like what would be convenient for us, it would be like to have some stuff go down, but then to before all these big earthquakes and all these big volcanoes and the earth starts splitting and the water opens and eats up all these different states, is to move us, to get us into the places that are going to be safe. So that's why I keep, like, to me, it looks like there's low-key evacuation going all the time. And, and I don't know, like, if you're over in that place, if there is some, angels around, telling people, go there. I heard there's food and stuff, directing people. That you could be like, oh, there was a person who was standing over there, told me to go this way, and well, there was nobody there. Or it can be, it could be a lot of different stuff, because this is a wild supernatural place. And so anyways, but to me, it seems like there's this low-key evacuation going on, moving people out of certain areas. And for this storm to hit and to do this much devastation, it just is, it's so crazy, because you just see the people wanting to stay there. And then it starts becoming a battle for resources. And then the people are, well, this is our land. This is my place. This is our stuff. And they've already told people it's not yours anymore, that they're taking it and stuff. Like, this is so disgusting. It's Hawaii 2.0, but Hawaii was like probably a zillion point zero. Like, they've done this so many times. This is just how they do it, and they just think that they can just sweep us under the rug and tell us that they're going to take it and stuff. But they don't, even on the parts like where I think, oh, well, this is my house, this is my yard. It is, it's really, it's not. It's not like something I can take with me. And so if it gets swept away, I just have to go into look for another place. But the thing is the universe was going to it's going to give you everything back that you lose. You're not going to really lose anything. You're going to get back better than what you had. It's just that you got to go through the process of letting go of what it is you lost. And the people who, the people hold themselves back thinking that, I've seen these videos, like, just lost everything. They've lost everything. But you just got to go through that process. And then once people start going in this other direction and getting into this other place, there's just going to be stuff that's going to be getting back. And it's almost like a futile battle to battle these people for land when they're trying to kill us for resources and kill the planet and stuff for resources, because this is just exposing them. But there's going to be, there's going to be people who are going to still be staying at the places and fighting them, and that's their role. Like, there's still people in Hawaii that are fighting them, and these people are still trying to take their stuff, and they're still not letting them go and have their, like, it's a big fucking bullshit thing. And these people think that they've got the laws on their side because it's their laws. And but that's the part where people don't realize, no, there's God's law. That's why we have to go in for our birthright in God's law, because they can't override that. They just try to make laws that we would take a knee, that we would become compliant to their rules. So the more that we say, no, I'm not, the rulers are not making the rules anymore. And it's done. It's this shifting of power. And the power goes back to the people, but it's like us realizing that we have the power is the power play. It's like, we don't need you. That's the whole thing. And then, so once the people realize, like, well, I don't need this, it's going to be okay. This is gone anyways. And and there's going to be people who want to stay in for the fight, but whatever, all these different places are going to be being gone. Like, all these places are devastated. I don't think they're on the map, the new map. I think that they are under, like, where the Mississippi widens. And I don't know if this is this big earthquake. Who knows if it's like some big thing that's about to, like, their EMP is going to hit and create this big earthquake, and that's going to be what opens it. I mean, it's going to be really intense when that goes, because there's going to be a lot of people in big cities and stuff that are going to be, it's going to be intense. Like, this is just, like, to me, the warm-up. I swear to God, we're just in the appetizer of destruction that's about to go down. And definitely in the cities. Definitely there's going to be a lot of places there's just going to be demolished. They're going to be gone. And that is, but we got to just let go of it. Let go of it. It's the past. It's not where we're headed. We're headed to the future. We're going towards something. We're letting go of what's behind us. And there's a process, because, yeah, you got people like, this is, I've worked my whole life for this. You just got to let go. You got to let go. And the more you let go of, the more it's going to move you into a safer place. And some of the things is like, some of the holding on is going to be stuff that people are going to be facing in their life reviews. Like, there's lessons that are happening around us. All this, it's not meant to be, everybody's not meant to have the same thing happen. So, there's a lot of shit going on. And I just feel like, we just got to really be open and respectful to all of the other people's experiences and what they're going through. And, because everything is real to the experiencer. The person who's going through the experience is, that's their real life experience. It's what they're really having to deal with and handle and maneuver through. So that's where we, work on our compassion and our empathy. And that leads us to not be judgmental and not stereotype, not have biases. Where we can all come together is just the common thread of being human and being connected through our souls, and learning how to be respectful of one another through the spiritual camaraderie that we all hold a place in this universe. So anyways, as we're all doing these things, we got to remember what is important. Every day when you get up, it is your challenge, your duty to learn how to love yourself, to love everyone, and how to have a loving day, because it's totally up to you. So I'll talk to you tomorrow. See you later. Bye.